Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Property Expert. Today we're going to be focusing on the 2022 Practical Work School done by the SACPVP. It's a 5-day course done online over 2 weeks. Today is going to be the first day of the course. So basically this video is about reviewing the course content and what's going to happen, just to give a person an idea if they are going to attend the practical work school, what they can expect. So it's going to be more summary based and giving you outcomes of what's going to happen. So we're going to dive a bit into that. It's going to be a daily diary of my experience, and that's all it is about. So the SACPVP 2022 Practical Work School standing like this. So day 1, 16 August, which is today, we're going to be covering the official opening and overview of the international valuation standards. Then next will be the SACPVP statistics, ethics and code of conduct, and PI cover, and the POPI Act. And then followed by at 3:30 implementing your virtual sustainable future, and then by voluntary association, which is the SAIV. It is another organization that exists in South Africa. It means the South African Institute of Valuers. Then the last speaker of the day shall be conducting time value of money Excel masterclass. So that's what we have for day 1. Then for day 2, which is going to be Thursday, we're going to have a continuation of the time value of money from 2 to 5:45, and then also another voluntary association, which is the BPVA, that is the Black Professional Valuers Association. That's what we have for day 2. And then for day 3, we have the MPRA, local standards and municipal rating standards, followed by valuation of compulsory acquisition of land for public benefit, survey general diagrams and GIS, and hotel valuations, a practical approach, virtual practical. That's going to be a very interesting one. I'm probably looking forward to that. And then on the second last day, which is day 4, we're gonna be having property market analysis, followed by the discount cash flow, lastly the practical valuation assignment, discussion and group formation. So it's going to deal with data collection, data analysis and comparables. And then the last one is online time value of money test. Oh wow, so that's gonna be for 2 hours. Then on the last part it says hand in a practical group valuation assignment, 12 September 2022. So it seems like there's gonna be a group assignment that's gonna be happening. So courses that, or subjects that I'm really looking forward to here in terms of the work school, or the hotel valuation. That's going to be interesting one. Then also another one that's going to interest me is day 1. We have the implementing your virtual sustainable future. So technology is moving us that way, and it's going to be very interesting how the world is going to work afterwards. Yeah, and next video is going to be based on what I experienced on day 1. Welcome back. Day 1 of the SACPVP Practical Work School is done. Just give you a review of what happened in the first day. The first talk was from the president. He talked about international valuation standards. I find them very interesting, especially when I look at valuation of how I'm looking at going international with my valuation practices. It's good that there are international valuation standards that can at least make you competitive or competent in the global scale. So it is interesting to look at that. I enjoyed that talk. Another favorite of mine was implementing our virtual sustainable future. So that lecture mostly spoke about Mall of Africa, building efficiencies, international tenants willing to occupy office spaces in South Africa because they use high performance properties. It's easier when they do the global reporting. So I found that very interesting. And then there was also some talks about electricity and how there's certain independent suppliers of solar energy that will supply as an alternative, together to complement with the current generation of electricity that exists. I enjoyed that talk a lot. And then we had SAIV, which is also one of the associations that govern property values in South Africa. The president spoke very well. He brought up a lot of things I didn't know about the organization, their mentorship program, bursaries, and the work they're doing in terms of education and upskilling valuers. That was very informative. And the last time we did the time value of money. So time value of money, it was just more of an introductory lesson. I think it lasted about 2 hours. And yeah, it was mostly teaching us tricks of calculating time value of money figures through using Excel than the traditional way of using a calculator. So yeah, so that was day one, and then now we're gonna be going into day two. Day two, we're still going to cover. So the first session will be time value of money, and then followed by BPVA. So it's another association. I think it means Black Professionals Property Valuers. So it's going to be interesting to hear their talk. They're going to be speaking at the end of the session. So the sessions normally start from 2 all the way to 7. So yeah, that's my experience so far. And I just look forward to day 2 of our session. So day 2 happened on Thursday the 18th. So day 2 is supposed to have time value of money calculations and also a voluntary association coming to speak, like Professional Values Association. They were supposed to speak. So what happened was I'll start with time value of money. So time value of money, the class was mostly about how to use Excel to come to arriving at your answer, which is a easier way, a more simpler way. Unlike how we used to do it in school, the traditional way of studying or working, doing calculations using a calculator and a scrapbook and coming to all those long calculations. So I think for me, this part of the class, in terms of you writing the exam, it will not be helpful. Using Excel is just going to be a tool to use. However, when you're going to write your exam, you still need to know how to do the calculations in a calculator. So for me, listening to that, I think to the 3-hour class or so, knowing, I do know most of the calculations that are being done in class, but it did not have as much appetite, knowing that everything that I'm reading will not benefit me when I'm writing the test at the end of work school. So going to go traditional. So here's the book that I like to use. It's called The Time Value of Money. See, it's even worn out. I've used it so many times. So the nice thing about this book is that it's got all all the examples in it, and then covers, probably I'll go through some of the topics: present value, future value, amortization, net present value, IRR, internal rate of return. And the best part about this textbook is that one, it gives you the answers, and two, at the back of the book, it shows you how to do the sums using different kinds of calculators. So that's probably the most amazing thing about this book. I have the classic. I doubt if this calculator is still being sold. It's called the Sharp ER735 Business and Financial Calculator. My dad used to use this, and then he passed it down onto me. And yeah, man, it's been treating me well. I've been going through all the years, even in my masters, I was still using this calculator. So this calculator has been treating me well. As long as I put in the batteries, hopefully I won't get to a point where I need to buy a new calculator. So yeah, time value of money, that's what it is about. I'm going to be practicing this on my own capacity, following that. The Excel classes is mostly to probably guide you if the answers are correct, but in terms of practical experience, Excel is amazing for presentations and probably work going forward, but in terms of the exam that's coming up, it won't be so useful. Then the next part, we're supposed to have a voluntary association come to speak. Unfortunately, they did not speak due to load shedding. So in South Africa, we have ugly system called load shedding, whereby each area they switch off their electricity for a certain predetermined number of hours, and unfortunately the presenter was in an area where there was load shedding, so he couldn't even communicate with us because our classes are currently being done online. So today it's day 20, the 23rd of August, which is day 3 of the work school. Another long session from 2 to 7. So the topics which are going to be covered today are municipal rating standards, then followed by valuation for compulsory acquisition of land for public benefit, and then followed by Savior General Diagram and GIS. And lastly, to wrap up today's class, it's going to be hotel valuation, practical approach, which is going to be very interesting. I think in terms of institutions of higher learning in South Africa, we haven't really went into detailed with regards to hotel valuations, because valuation principles are always similar, but it's going to be nice to see somebody focusing specifically on that. Another one which is going to be of high interest for me, especially in today's class. So the first one has to be hotel valuations, the practical approach. However, one which is very dear to my heart is the valuation for compulsory acquisition of land for public benefit. South Africa currently is in a state whereby land for native, which are African people, they do not have a lot of land in a place of which they are born in, or a place where they are from, a place where their ancestors roamed around the continent. And unfortunately, currently, as it is in South Africa, most of the land is occupied by other entities besides the Africans. So what you have specifically in South Africa, you have a lot of white people owning land. You have also government owning a lot of land. And yeah, for a country that's predominantly majority African, it's so disheartening, especially if you're going to go into the numbers. We're going to cover that topic on another separate show. But man, it's very disheartening. So it's going to be interesting how, yeah, man, in terms of the land for public benefit, it also gives rise. Who is this public that is there to benefit, whereby the government itself is not acquiring land for the benefit of its people? But it's very interesting. So look forward to today's classes, and yeah, I'll give you a review of what went down, and yeah, we'll take it from there. Thank you. Yeah, do yourself a favor. Get this book, go through it. Probably for me, it's a valuer's Bible, specifically when it comes to doing calculations, and you're going to be able to master it. It's quite easy. It's quite easy. You just need to put in the work, do as many sums as possible, various examples, or you'll be fine. So it's day 3. Day 3 recap is that Black Valuers Association managed to talk. So it works on uplifting young Black people, which is a great organization. I like that. The speaker spoke well. I'm going to be very interested in finding more information about Black Valuers Profession Association. Then another topic that was covered was the municipal rating standards. South Africa does a lot of research on international standards. There's also a conference called African Real Estate Conference of Standards, so it's also very informative. Then I also learned about the history, and then followed by valuation of compulsory acquisition of land for public benefit. That mostly focused on people can submit what they would want to do with that piece of land, and then it goes through various stress testings in government, and then the acquisition needs to be beneficial to the state. So it is different from expropriation, because now the government would take that piece of land for a specific usage in a specific place. People can also request to lease that space or use it for the benefit of the public. And then also had a class at GIS. GIS class, I fell asleep. I don't know if it was the speaker or it was me, but from what I saw, it spoke about how they would break down an SG diagram and what all the words and the things written on an SG diagram mean. And then lastly, so instead of doing a hotel valuation approach, we ended up doing the discounted cash flow. We ended up doing time value of money. We focused on amortization, and then using it through Excel calculation, and also did the NPV calculations and the IRR. So today is day 4 of the SACPVP Practical Work School. Then next we're going to have an online time value of money test. So for now, for today's class, is going to be property market analysis. We won't do discounted cash flow, I think, because now maybe they might substitute that with a hotel valuation. We'll just have to see. And then practical valuation assignment and discussion in group, collecting data, data analysis and comparisons. That's what's going to happen in 4. What we had was property market analysis, and we also had hotel valuations, which was supposed to happen in day 3, however just got moved to day 4. And then we also finished off with a discussion on the property valuation assignment. So the outcomes for property market analysis was that it is very important when you do an analysis and analysis is to know the history and be detailed in analysis, especially when you're going to do market research on a particular area. And then some of the outcomes was that there's a big opportunity to do market research. There's a big gap in that space if anybody's interested in going into it. And then also a report can charge about 90,000 to 160,000 rand. I think it is a wise, it is a good market to go into, especially if you're very intrigued about research and getting the finer details into what's happening within our communities. I must say the professor Samuel Azazu, very good presentation from him. It was refreshing to see a professor broadcasting all the way from Spain during our session, so which is very nice. And then secondly, hotel valuations, one of the ones that I'm very much interested in. So also another good presentation. So here's some of the outcomes that came from the presentation, is that there's a difference between an owner and an operator of a hotel. So for example, Hosan, the Hilton, they are not the owners of the hotel. You find that somebody else is the owner and they would operate the hotel. And then you find that when you do have a recognized operator, it's beneficial when you're applying for funding, because people know of the brand, there's brand loyalty when people would go to a particular hotel franchise. And when you are a developer and you're developing this property, it is very viable that you have a renowned operator behind you, because so you can guarantee your income, so you can be able to pay off all your operating expenses. Then another interesting thing we found out was one of the oldest hotels there in Germany, they're in Japan. They've been through 46 generations. It's about 1,300 years old. Talk about generational wealth and generational passing. It's very important that we do so. Some interesting terms that we would learn about hotel valuations are that there's ADRs and RevPAR. So ADR is average daily rate, and revenue per available room. It's used a lot in our calculations when you do hotel valuation. Another good tool to have is the STR. It's a research tool useful for valuations to be able to know the benchmarks between the various hotels. And that was in terms of what we found from the hotel valuation talk. And then secondly, it was interesting to have a speaker who has had experience working in the Middle East and different parts of the UAE. And the one question I always found interesting, that how is it possible that as a South African you can be able to work in different parts of the country and actually be effective in your work. And the one thing you actually do find that is most of these countries speak English, so it makes it easier for us to go and do business there. And it always helps when you're registered with RICS. It's easier for you to move around the world. So that was a very interesting aspect of it. And then after that, we have a practical assignment that we're discussing. So the practical assignment is based in an area called Wynberg. Wynberg is in South Africa, located in Gauteng province. It's mostly an industrial area, light industrial area. So our property was a mixture of hotel, retail, and residential apartments or flats, depending on which term you use. So we had to do a valuation on that and come to a value, and that was due on the 12th of September, which was about 2 to 3 weeks later from when the actual course ends. And then we went into day 5. So day 5 was just an online test about the time value of money. It was 2 hours long. We did it the following Thursday on the 30th. My experience with the exam is that it was easier for me to write the exam because I was using the time value of money textbook. It's got calculations, it shows you how to work out the calculations. I flew through the exam. Yeah, I think I went too quickly because I think in the first 35 minutes I was already almost done. I was left with like 2 questions. Then I was like, hey, let me go to the toilet and relax. I think I'm rushing over this thing. It's going to be interesting what marks I get because I did that exam so quickly. And then, yeah, so following that, that was the end of the work school. Then we were split into groups of 4 to 6. And then we had to come together to do this mixed use valuation. Yes, we came together with the group. We submitted on the 12th of September. We're just waiting for results. It was interesting to work with various individuals that one is not familiar with, and you bring all your efforts together. Because it's such a complex valuation report, at least it gives you insight into the various income producing aspects of property when you do your property valuation. So we did a mixture of income producing method and comparable methods. So it was a nice blend. So my final verdict on the SACPVP 2022 Practical Work School, I give it an 8 out of 10. Very well done on the presenters and how everything was coordinated. I think the cost of it was about 6,500 rand. The reason why I would possibly give it a 8 out of 10 is that, one, the presenters were prepared. They were prepared, good information and good insight that was work done on their part, and then unfortunately with regards to doing such a course, there's also a barrier of entry. Then when you actually realize all the things of the counselors as portrayed, is that it becomes more difficult for you to probably have your own property valuations coming, because you have to go through so many hoops. In some instances, they'll tell you have to wait 2 years before you write an exam to become a professional, and it will just make your journey very long and miserable. It does not promote young people having their own businesses in this market. However, when you do have your own business in this market, probably then it can guarantee you that your industry is safe of entries. But hey man, I'm more of a free market speech, or a person that would like to see us evolve, because as a young person I also have my ideas on what I'd like to change within the property space, and you can only change it when you're on the other side. But for now, we'll continue this journey to acquire more knowledge. I'm looking at finding out more knowledge on where I can do more courses and find out how people do things around the world. It's important that we share knowledge. And yeah, and congratulations on the people that probably are going to pass this work school. If we didn't, can always come back next year. So thank you very much for watching my show. I'm done. Yeah, I'm just going to enjoy the rest of my day now. Thank you. Cheers.